with themselves. And the thing is, basically, I got bullied by fucking everyone in school, and my dad has anger management. He spent like an entire year after I had left school just sitting on my ass on the sofa eating pizza. You are the jokers. You are the jokers and the bullies from school who I decided I would never ever be.
Against everything he believed in, since it was a sodding church. We both stayed at the after out of school club. The debate still rages on about whether it was
Christopher Eccleston's series aired. I was, like 15. I was in school, so I was going through my own angsty stuff. So
when it was in class and stuff, and it was, pranks and shenanigans and like kicking my fucking school bag all over the place, then, okay, heck, my religious studies teacher at school was an Islamic woman, and I got kicked out of our promise that I would hold true to the strength and values of me when I was at school, when I was the pacifist who did
sing in the choir, as my school was, for want of a better term, baptised. This was a school where they were really like, no, you need to go back to film school. This was the best film ever made.
I did read history books, but that was in school, and school was a bad time. But when I think about what I know of history, which admittedly
shit, kick me signs were slapped on me. By the end of school, or at least by the time I left it, it was maybe you can level up your speech skill by playing in like a debating school or something like Scar.
Gossip. The Farshanu crossed the park and stood on the paving looking over the school playground. He looked in.
Fights in school weren't with guns. They weren't with projectiles. They weren't with just ranged weaponry. They were close up.
With school. Okay. In school, I was bullied. I was bullied horribly.
Then I listened to School of Movies review the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Harry Potter film to provoke me. Trolls will never be an issue because you know what, right? In school, I begged to leave.
My ears. I love it. That is just school. We all feel old. No, I am 10 and I am leaving school. I should be on the biggest rush it is possible to.
Space parasites created God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight.
So we have this school, it kind of filled me with this fear of being
out. He was livid. He was an atheist and his school was going to be baptised into the Church of England. For the month it...
I know black people. What are you talking about? I know black people. I mean, I know one who went to school. I know black people.
They exploit a creature known as the albino silk squirrel. It is an artificially created creature whose combined excretions can be blended to the thing. I love Eldritch Terrors of the Night, and I love, I love School of Movies, and they also had right, fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil. Men kick the space. Men, it's the school playground is almost like, a sort of.
Gonna make it for primary school. I'm just gonna make it for secondary school. I'm just gonna finish the GCSEs. I'm just gonna build this dog.
So I'm now at the point where I'm listening through the School of Movies back catalogue, where I'm having to a lot more comfortable life, objectively speaking. But in school, I knew the answer. I knew that
Where I would be signed in and dumped off to begin my unhappy school career. My mother held my hand and it felt like my left arm had been changed.
To the extent that I was literally allowed out of school for like on Wednesdays at the very, very tail end of school.
the nice manly voice sort of saying that yes, I'm not in fucking school, the jaded cynicism won me over, kind of to do with surviving the fact that in school everyone hated me and wanted reactions from me all the time, and I needed to stay sane and avoid.
And it's that kind of cheesy narration with kind of primary school, well, secondary school level grammar and spelling.
Half-assed review that was. But this is school movies, These are people who do the quite conservative area. Weren't so many black kids in school. You have a girl, genuinely someone who is, in school and, less than 18 years of age,
was the one person I fucking tried to fight at Woking High School. And lost to, by the way. The one guy...
you can essentially have a couple of school classes, kind of coming together and say, out by people. I mean, because of my experience in school, I'm genuinely a bit creeped out by children, right? What if you were at university and the Nazi trolls were like the jocks from school and they were next door and they were tall and muscly and they were huge? Listening, well, about an hour and 30 minutes into School of Movies, review, whatever, podcast on Mass Effect.
It's youth in revolt. It's just school kids saying, you know what? Fuck you, teacher. We are teaching ourselves. And we...
Anyway, just generally check out School of Movies. They are amazing. Just... yeah. I have fallen...
I went round to the after school club and I saw people playing games consoles, and there was an...
And bearing in mind, this was happening at the same time as I'd be going to school, dealing with, the groundwork of homework and whatever, and...
in fact, those were obviously horrible, horrible years. And I kind of get the same reaction, with school that I get with YouTube videos. It's like...
Can you believe that we will be 10 in just a month? That we have just one more month of school? He turned his back on the sea and smiled. Yes.
Or whatever. I could do it. I could handle myself. Yeah, I'm savvy. Yeah, I can do something. I've been through school. I've done some hard shit when I need to be. Things that teachers and the government and school and parents advise. I told the teachers.
Is especially because, when I was in school, I would have so many people. Well, no, okay. I've basically caught up with all the School of Movies podcasts now. Finished watching all the Star Wars. Slip into the oik from school who didn't give a fuck.
Telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight the evil weird people.
I did not get music. I mean, I was taught it. I was taught it, literally in school. So, I sort of vaguely remember...
Day out into a load of hell, like school bad. But they have been crueling and of my childhood. you know, the autism, the atheism in a religious school, the consistent,
you know, the cars had a breakdown, and oh my god, you know, this one kid's having trouble at school, and another kid's got some
that I was desperate in secondary school to break the trend, to not be bullied. You know, I was sort of like, hello, will you be my friend?
I am smarter than you because I went to the right school. I want to punch his face in.
Have you noticed any of the following in your local area? After school clubs closing? Well, yes, I think so, although in fairness, I was kind of...
But also, I decided, okay, I shall listen to a School of Movies podcast episode, because I also have to catch up on that, and I'm like, oh.
And the PlayStation at what was called the After School Club, or the After School Club, at my primary school. So
that would entice me to keep hanging on for another week of school, because if I save that money up, I'll be able to.
It made sense at the time, as I had received so much bullying in school that I had to be homeschooled for the last year. Because as a kid, that's how I survived school. I survived school by saving up my dinner money to buy shit. When I was in the football club at primary school, there was a time when I was in the football and rugby club at secondary or whatever they are. On iTunes, you can find them under the School of Movies. Just listened to their
testosterone, and that's gonna fuck you up. And in school, anything weird is different, and anything different must be being weird. Like, school people care when they insult you. If they didn't, again, they'd just pass you by.
With real life stuff. I have dealt with an entire school wanting to provoke me. Trolls will never be an issue, because you know what, right? Fear that I have of, you know, this pent-up rage from school and stuff that's, you know, that genuinely does, on occasion, scare me.
You know, you do like nursery, then you do reception, then you do primary school, then you do secondary school, then you do college, telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people.
These parts of myself make me embarrassed, because when I was at school, I cared about things back, so that if you learn so if you do come across something in a field you were taught at school, maybe it'll click.
And part of this was that in school, I didn't give a shit. Or at least in primary school, I didn't give a shit. Like, fights just happened.
The differentness, and it's like, nah, fuck that, because school. And just shops and school. Shops, school, and government. That's...
I feel like university did not prepare me for the world, because the university, college, university, and school, like, it's all like, yes, quaint, patronising articles in the Guardian, sort of saying, yes, and here is one school where normal people are
place. Certainly, you know, the school I went to, because basically all the boys beat the fucking shit out of each other.
very much, you are expected by the society of the school to be fighting every break.
Early age got the idea of, you know, don't be physically violent. And part of this was that in school, I didn't give a shit. Or at least...
Yeah, so I was a complete fucking loser in school, and you know, and the school was so fucking boring, you know. Even though I had school the next day, just because I have that mentality within me to just be like,
in mind, I've blocked out an awful lot of school because that shit was bad, especially when I was doing the GCSEs, because we're talking about... It's the most blatant form of propagandist bullshit ever. And the BBC is the most blatant from. I've been bullied so many years at school, so many different ways. I've had so many insults and stuff. Like, I don't give a shit anymore.
Kind of like I was having flashbacks to school, kind of like very, you know, to the point where.
And now School of Movies and indeed School of Everything Else. Alex Shaw is a creator, but in his podcasts,
Lol, collapse, and wait. And again, like school, I'm like after school, I'm just like, what?
when I got to secondary school, there were more black kids, but they were still in the minority.
I'm missing growing up in a C of E school, and it's like, I don't want to go. I want. During the David Tennant era, I was being bullied at school. I was at school to start with, and I was being Caban read to me while I was at primary school, which means it was associated with the good part of my childhood, you know. I actually grew a pumpkin once in real life. Bilal Hussein at Woking High School tore it to pieces. Yes. And William Riker are having a good old farcical fun beating up little monkey men capitalists. And then London. But that was fun. I saw something.
Because here's the thing, nobody teaches you. In fucking school, nobody teaches you.
Right, fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight.
And, you know, for me, school was not such a long time ago. Okay, it's, well, I suppose it's right? You know, getting a job is like, well, you know, what school did you go to? What university did you go to? What course did you study? Considering that, you know, some of the experiences that I had in school, that I found myself almost thinking, hey, the cheated God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people. And, oh yeah, having listened to the James Bond podcast by School of Movies, I want to watch James Bond now.
I could tell you anecdotes about secondary school from ages, and you know, you would laugh at it. You would fucking laugh. I mean,
debt. Because when I had finally left school and I thought I was basically done with life, that there was no more. The values of morality, not the fucking Bible, not fucking school, and not my fucking parents. What taught me my values of morality?
He thinks he's going to this really special school, but actually everybody goes to a fucking magical school.
One time during the entirety of school, and I fucking lost that fight. Bad, got detention, and then I got my ass. I'm writing things, I'm playing games, I'm listening to amazing podcasts, and oh my god, seriously, School of Movies is amazing, best podcast. A key sort of point of change and stuff in the series of School of Movies podcast, and sort of the history of.
I'd actually been at the ceremony, sort of singing in the choir as the school was baptised, as it were. And so I want that. I grew up, I went to a C of E school, and I kind of want that. I want to go to the church on Sunday, and
it's quite well off, it's quite right wing, you know, like children in school would go on packy hunts, you know. We had a delightful, because as a kid, That's how I survived school. I survived school by saving up my dinner money to buy shit. Primary school. There was a time when I was in the football and rugby club at secondary school. I was a scrum half. Yes, that was definitely fun and not at all.
Telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people. Time could write the works of Shakespeare. It's like, 30 school kids with half an hour.
None of this is fucking new. I mean, in school, there would be people who would pretend to be my friends just so their fucking insults
Was literally, oh, you're an atheist in a CLE school. Good luck.
But the Abrahamic religions, because I went to a CLE school and yeah, school was not fun for me. But I had a very, very rough time at school. To the extent that kind of when I went to college and university, I was like anywhere but
Balls. So, at school, guess what I did with a level designer? I mapped out what you're imagining.
because of the shit I went through at school. The shit I went through at school was utterly terrible and it sent me mad. But as a result of it,
While, and I was kind of okay with that because, as a result of school, I'm used to the idea that sometimes. But the thing is that even in school, when I was a complete fucking idiot, I knew my fucking Roman history. Okay.
you deal with all of the horrible comments that you deal with. Because of the shit I went through at school. The shit I went through at school was utterly terrible. Because I've been there. I've had like an entire school shitting on me, I would walk from lessons and seemingly every person I put with, people you went to school with going on packy hunts. And when officers in America
Writes fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil.
I remember, being back in the school playground and like how I learned to channel, because one of the few podcasts I have not listened to by School of Movies that is not what I have already mentioned.
Yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave school and then I'm gonna have Diet Coke and I'm gonna have pizza and I'm just gonna sit on the sofa and I'm gonna. He's a guy who I once failed to beat up in Woking High School. Says, if you call the police, I will rape you.
At school, and I got my ass handed to me a lot at school, and that thus when I was sort of in school, but I was a prick in school, so that's fine. Basically, and there's a terrorist there, no more school.
About something that is so insanely common that everybody does it, that if you go to school, if you're on the internet in any way, shape or form. I carried around a fucking dead, decaying rat in my pocket at primary school. I killed 2 goldfish. I fished them out of the head dick in the school playground that you're like, you're an arsehole and I hate you. And yet, is that I'm not exactly great under pressure. I remember I was at school and it was a science. The only truly okay school is Restoration.
I first met the Farshnook in primary school. Of course, he was Not called the Farshanuk back.
On my best friend, who was the brother of my worst enemy in primary school. So yes, Bring Me to Life. That's a good one. Shake.
Killed by people, and you know, I look back and of course they're at the other end of the field going, "Oh, you weren't doing anything." So, you know, school was hell, but you can kind of see why, because I was
Church of England primary school, and to be honest, that was the kind of school where you kind of found yourself looking at, you know, the sort of the
in with she put it into board at a school that had a pig pen. And it's like, yay, it gets to be with other pigs and it gets to socialise.
After our first year at primary school, the Farshanuk decided he wanted a Nintendo 64. And so he set to
how men establish their role in society, and basically my role in the school playground was to be the
Was bullied to the point where I just walked out of school and never went back in, and my parents were like,
You know, this isn't the schoolyard anymore. Your ability to twat someone does not mean
some grand authoritarian system of, you know, like people who would keep me in school on Saturdays or anything. It was just
sometimes the girls that you didn't pay attention to in school grow up and, you know, sort of the hormones kick in. I hate sports and they bore the fuck out of me, and I did my best to basically wipe my memories of school away and not remember school, because it was
RS teacher. Religious education becomes religious studies in secondary school. Don't ask me why, I just assume it is to mindfuck students.
or where, you know, the doctor's like the good teacher watching as the little school kids play with their guns.
fucker. I went to school with people who were just joking. My life was made a misery.
The moment is like, you know what? When I was 15, I decided to run away from school. You know, 15 through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people. And there were fucking packy hunts going on in my school, and I've been listening to the British History podcast, learning about all that. Like, eventually, one day, I just said, fuck this shit. And I walked out of school and I just said, I'm never fucking going back again. 4 guys turned up who I recognised from school. The guy leading them was the one person I fucking tried to.
Yeah, basically destroyed all photos of me as a kid at school because I was just like, I never want to be reminded.
For me, it was kind of campy, kind of childish. I didn't care. And I left school because of bullying, and you can tell I have some issues with school, but I loved it. It was really good, and I was loving all the characters. And
David Attenborough documentary that was like based on a school playground, and sort of how I mean, obviously then you've got the whole thing. The fact that I went to a Christian to Church of England primary school where we were where it was read from the Bible. You're gonna forget most of the stuff you learn in school, but it's gonna maybe be hazing around at the back, so that if you,
you know, history books make out as they tell you in school, because, you know, when you're in school you don't necessarily need to hear about yelling all of you. And in fact, that's what I would do in school with James Bond GoldenEye. I'd just go onto the runaway level. I was reading an Inspector Calls, you know, in school. Like that's where I read it, which was quite a while before. And then you go to school, and I go to school, and it's
just pain. Pain and humiliation and embarrassment, and you...
No, fuck that, there wasn't a god, but I went to a CV primary school. And, I was an atheist. I mean, I realised that it was ridiculous. And when the next thing happened, when the next things happened in school, he's the reason I didn't die then. Because,
You know, like, you could probably deduce not secondary school, but review for this podcast that I really like School of Movies, because I just, that's a stage worth of effort I'm not going to go taking an active part in, right? It's primary school, and then it's one time during the entirety of school, he wouldn't lift a finger to hurt me, and frankly, if he did, I'm the guy who grew up in Woking High School getting beaten up for a living.
It's amazing when Dissecting Worlds does a geek out. I love it. I love geek outs. But the School of Movies, it's like
gets to be badass was just really cool. School reunion, of course, loved it because K9 is just fantastic. I mean, and yeah, fair enough, Restoration School is all about healing yourself. And yes, fair enough, alchemy is again
sense in Harry Potter, because Hogwarts is a fucking fortress. Coal Hill School is just a fucking school.
Cunt from someone in reception when I was in year 6 of primary school. I just kind of find it funny that it's like, as if counselling will make a difference. Like, I had a counsellor in school, it was fucking frustrating. Just sitting there saying day in day out, and just watch the acting and the effects, and it's just glorious. But listening to the School of Movies podcast on
young weird people to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people. I'm not afraid of
But yeah, I'm listening to the Farscape Friday podcast, the School of Movies podcast.
I'm kind of reaching the dregs of the School of Movies podcast archive now. I have listened to
Let's Play series that I'm watching, and that's bloody awesome too. And it's like School of Movies has, well, it's always bloody awesome. The idea that somehow when you're a fucking 5-year-old going into primary school, you should know what job you want at the end of
by a little kid fresh out of school with some gadgets inspired by Doctor Who and Star Trek.
So at school, at the school I used to go to, there was this little wall.
Yeah, well, as a kid in primary school, I kept a dead rat as a pet in my school uniform. A fucking comment, you know? School friends care when you're being weird. Like, school people care when they insult you.
one time during the entirety of school, and I fucking lost that fight bad, got detention, and then I got my ass
by my mum, who has shaky hands, which led to the famous line in my school, "You look like you've been attacked by a lawnmower." Yeah, I'll rate your children too. Nice to see you. Yeah, I love you. Cheers. So it was. School was just like that. You just deep.
All gonna be cool. And then basically I listened to the School of Movies podcast on the recent Stephen King It film, and I
once I went through secondary school, I wasn't as popular as I was at primary school, and
You know, that's how I survived the tedium after I left school, right? And that's what then led me on to college. And you
Secondary school is society's biggest conspiracy. Every single adult will tell a child.
teacher. But that was because I was at school and hated all teachers and wanted them all to die because I was getting bullied there. Which, by the way, was very shit. Have you listened to Radio Free Sky, by the way? You know, what my experience at school is the reason I am so...
Kids are fucking vicious, you know, it's, essentially, the school playground is like the Serengeti, you know.
Biggest conspiracy. Every single adult will tell a child about to go to secondary school that it is totally different.
I knew my fucking Roman history, okay? I went to a CB school. They were very fond of telling me, well, you see...
After I've had a fairly rough time at primary school, you know, I kind of went in saying, yay, this is going to be a new start. No, it's not. It's really not. Who is like, Christian Grey is the best. He's so dreamy. And I'm like, can I just show you the School of Movies podcast on this? Can I just, you know, or maybe it's like a little school of Nemos, right? In some ways, that could be more terrifying, right? If it was just...
I always looked back to those days at the after school club, watching my mates play games with nostalgia and love, and just like, that was Sarah's dad had known what had happened at the school trip. Okay, had heard about what happened.
Sort of music class in Woking High School, where we played about on computers, and we're like, hey, we played about on electronic.
That you eat fish or sharks because it will affect me. And then the entire school said, you know what, guys? And ever since I have finished school, I have felt a longing in a very weird...
She's a woman from a happy background, happy childhood, liked school, liked college, university, got
received in school that essentially was so bad that I had to walk out of school and I had like a nervous breakdown and shit. It's the kind of thing that I'm openly obsessed with. You know, like, I brought a towel to school. I am that kid. Might have been why I was bullied, but you know, I'm...
Your father is a man who is making you terrified and in tears, you know. And then you go to school, and I go to school, and I mean, I have been listening to School of Movies, and School of Movies recommended a comic.
Valley of the Shadow of Death every single day for the past decade or more. I am not going back into school because it is horrible and hellish.
Come from a background whereby women have ever been weak. You know, at school, the women were the teachers. They were in...
Idiot! Daredevil was cool. I mean, Ryan Reynolds as Daredevil. I mean...
Right? But, you know, when I was a little kid, I had just come out of, you know, school and being bullied, and so this idea... Like, those are the things that you generally come away with from school. Like, everybody should fucking...
It needs to be put down. It's a danger to people. But the school didn't just put it down. They slaughtered it.
Of the person whose cunt he came out of, and because of the school he went to, because of the mates that he has, and because of the fact that I became such a kinky bastard, right? Because there is. I mean, when I was in school, like, I mean, I'm working in
propaganda school at that point. ISIS propaganda saying, oh, this is horrible, look at what they did to our ISIS members.
I mean, you know, I was making bloody threats with people in bloody primary school, like, genuinely. That was like how you say hello. And re-listen to one of the sort of School of Movies podcasts that I really, really love.
Blame the people who bullied me and sent me mad at school. I should not blame. Basically, like, going around the school, handing out, you know, saying that, no, that's, it's sort of like going out.
It's alright. It's alright. But I love the School of Movies review of Pacific Rim, because the School of Movies Pacific... you know, there's a lot of rage in there, a lot of repressed rage from fucking high school, yeah? From all those many people who... Incidentally, I have heard tale that Alex Shaw of School of Movies might branch out into doing it, and it was quite...
there found out, if the Forshnik found out that his pet had been put down by some school, he would shoot up the fucking place. Meeting God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people. You know, it wasn't such a long time ago because I'm 23. When I was at school, you very much, you were expected.
It is like, actually, that is such a School of Movies episode to pick. Like, it so fits, having listened to the episodes.
I don't know if it's still running, but in primary school, there was this place that you'd go on a field trip to, and it was spoken of in awe.
Of school. Of all that hatred, of all of that disgust against who I was. Explain, because it's fairly simple, really. Basically, I went to a C of E school. The 10 Commandments were part of that, you know.
Anyway, though this being secondary school, they used the obligatory rhyming slang. It is an important and popular fact that...
Meeting God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people. We decided to beat up and failed in school. And they were causing shit, so eventually I was walking back. Telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people. Recovering from the psychological problems you gained in school. Going to college, going to university, getting a job, getting married.
It's kind of ironic. I just, you know, recently listened to, you know, the School of Movies does Gamersgate, and, you know...
Right! Fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil. My friends turn on me, or they leave me, and I've seen a whole school turn on me. I am a little bit paranoid. When you sleep, you get this dream, and it's ruining him. And he's got school and life and other issues, so he needs help.
You know, you finished school, what now? You've graduated university, what now? Days binging Skyrim while listening to School of Movies podcasts on the Batman films, on the Spider-Man films, on the respected. You know, the playground, like the school, really, secondary school is not about learning, right? It had worked out A man who got sorted in Slytherin. A man who stayed in the hell of a school where he was being...
It's not like I went to a really horrible school where everybody bullied me to the point of insanity. Hi, Ryan Dancer!
This is, you know, I've talked before about how essentially I was fucked up in school from all the bullying, and I was sent paranoid.
Various annual festivities such as the school play, flower show and summer fete passed without much anecdotal mileage.
Or perhaps we should go back to school. You have to kind of have some kind of sense of pride in yourself. And at school, the way you have sense of pride in yourself is you kick down. Have kicked down.
But no, in secondary school, it got worse. Partly, well, no, not partly, you know, definitely it wasn't helped by the fact
Primary school was what happened in year 4. Our school was, for want of a better word, baptised. Now, as you can imagine, when the Farshnook found out
That is, having listened to what I have of School of Movies, that is so them. That is so them, because it's before you get to your first year of school, and I was being insulted by them. I was horrible.
you know, it's with school. It turned out that there wasn't the answer was all my on Wednesdays at the very tail end of school, because the school was just like, you are mentally unwell from being to do a little vloggage about Sonic Screwdriver. Today is Sunday, the 1st of August. I was kind of saying this shit in school, like, well, you know, if I want to get out of this shitty,
then, you know, talking about that the time I went to school with a dead rat in my pocket, or, you know, the 2 fish I killed. Well, in America, they have the Pledge of Allegiance that school kids have to do. The flag is seen as this great symbol of...
You're having to compete with a whole school of people who I interacted with on a daily basis, and
been involved in many fights during school. Indeed, during primary school, it was basically, it was such a common thing to have fights that it was a powerful force for change. You know, it kept me in school for a while, because I would be like, fuck this, I'm saving up my dinner, and I'm not going to review it, because it's been reviewed better by better people. SF Debris, School of Movies, go find them, they're better, they're just better. It's always an unpleasant experience, and then you go to school, and it became a thing. You look like...
From the Friday, and school turned up. Only this time there weren't 3 people with him, there were 9. And honestly, it felt like being back in school, watching a fun educational documentary aimed at... I never stopped being moral, I never stopped going to school, I never stopped being the person, you know, it's that much of a taboo. It was that much of a taboo in school for men to have it. Whereas I appreciate that there is, you know, all of this rage from being beaten up the entirety through school. So when I find someone that my morality...
who once at one time went to a school and happened to be doing science, and so that means that all shit out of me, notably not the people actually sending me mad, okay? I mean, school is actually a very sexist place. I will, because this is awesome. And that's kind of how I feel about School of Movies right now. They are making Quentin Now, what do you think's gonna happen? Do you think the cavalry is gonna arrive? This school kid is being bullied and he's about to hit.
Wasn't as popular as I was at primary school, and I didn't hang out with people as much. But I always, basically because I went to a very, very bigoted and right-wing school where, you know, people would go spent, you know, his lunch times at school in the IT club, and, you know, who decided to do a degree that involves sitting down. At college, before I went to university, I had a very bad time at school, and I'd left early because of it.
It's actually a very good quality, you know, standard School of Movies review. And I
You know, it's when I walked out of school and said, no, I'm never coming back. I'm never going. From me, yes. Done when I was in primary school. Hence why it's so shit. I got tons of
like people in school, boys in school going, oh, you make Minecraft videos, I make Minecraft videos, and I do, you know? The shit I went through at school, I goddamn no anger. The problem is that I am acting in a I'm just gonna make it through this year. I'm just gonna make it through primary school. I'm just gonna make it through secondary school. I'm just gonna.
Or I was going mad. This was the time in school when I was like, you know, it was like the thing of like we were reading Macbeth. Certainly, like when the one thing that school kids are taught about revolution is Guy Fawkes Day and putting a bomb.
No. Walking high school was bad. It was very bad. I think we need to kind of remember that, like, school is really shitty.
Telling that doesn't work. I know, because that was my school. My school was spent being bullied, being to CUV school. I'd been to a CUV school, and I'd actually been at the ceremony, sort of singing in the choir as the school was.
And so, you know, at school, being different, being gay.
Persecution complex, because hey, I was an atheist in a CUV school, therefore I was someone who kind of thought he knew
What happened and who won? I've been involved in many fights during school. Indeed, during primary school, it was basic stew, and it's just like, no, but that's not me. I mean, like, when I was in school, there was this
Nuke.com. He spent the first few years of secondary school trying to achieve that goal. And to give him
fucking close. It was goddamn close at school, and it's been fucking close this year, and it certainly hasn't helped that fuckers have to wait again. That's all just gonna go. And the problem I've had is that, like, I had school where I had oh, children in Africa don't have food, they'd love to be in school. And, you know, even after the bullshit that I went through last year with my dad,
withstood being bullied by an entire school by bringing up issues which affect other people all the time and aren't actually, you know, was wrong. Like, when I was in school, I genuinely had nightmares because there was this... The Alex Jahans that went to school and suffered for all that shit and never once hit someone back in return. I'm still a competitor. There's still, the schoolboy in me is still like, well, at least I'm still on the fucking...
Part of the IT club at Woking High School. Yes, there may have been several reasons that I was bullied.
And yet, I'm still missing it. And I'm still missing the kind of bullying in school. Despite the fact that those were obvious.
I have just watched The Fast and the Furious. Basically, having listened to the School of Movies podcast and fucking Alexander Gordon Jahans at birth, and I went by Alex Jahans at school. But from there, kind of, names started to take on a symbolic... And no, I started out as an atheist in a Christian school. I was an outsider from the very start, and the stench of loser and victim does not... You can be still at school. You can have a cheap, shitty webcam. You can have, you know, internet.
Right, fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil. I mean, I suppose it was kind of going to the school that I did, you know, kind of being an atheist and a bunch of Christians, you know, sort of.
Generic concept of, oh look, you know, kids in a school place and oh, aliens, monsters trying to kill them, and oh, they've got a band to... So yeah, at school there was it was basically very right wing, basically very bigoted, and
As era was going on, I was going mad and going to the point where I would basically leave school and refuse to ever return to. It was shed like a dead skin upon leaving school. But still he sits and sobs forevermore, never forgetting, never forgiving. Created God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people.
it's Leon Macduff. What do they teach you in school these days? And Merle picked a direction and started walking on his 8 grapes.
Some things, you know, little snotty-nosed me back in school. I had
School club at my primary school. So I remember the Lilac Wars things. I remember the Canaria theme. Through your skull using a high-tech sniper rifle when you appeared at an event to open a new school. All the clues lead to an assassin being hired by a secretive group. Every person in primary school grows up knowing the words for Holocaust, you know, in other languages. No, we don't.
essays and short stories in school through, you know, textual analyses and dissertations and
Old Boys Network. How, oh yes, I mean, hey, but school this fella, he's a very good job. Yes, of course I'm going to give him a job. What are you talking about?
in school. I mean, I literally had to I had to sing in the choir, as my school was, for want of a better term, baptized.
You know, I basically left school with no plan of taking an active part in, right? It's primary school, and then it's one time during the entirety of school, the guy who spent his time in a special school where he got ignored. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a very physically strong guy because he does a lot.
You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And the entire school was singing, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
People are like, you know, the entire world is upon you now. The entire pressure of school is upon you. You need to do really fucking well. I was like, I don't give a shit.
These assholes from from school turned up. And there were about 3 or 4 of them. I am at the moment just like, okay, what the fuck do I do now? Like, I've gone from school to college to university, and like
family history. It's not like my fucking my history at school and stuff is generally to the point where you go, I will not ever, engage in emotion. And what I learned at school is that that's bullshit. Because
that's basically what happened with me in Sharks, okay? My first ever memory was a shark at school. I liked them a lot, and then I did some stupid shit. I killed.
You have gotten some tales from Woking High School. It was the white guys who would be, shits to me. The Muslims. Yeah, it's. And this is why actually the school of movie, well, the last
from falling into this, just as if it being a shooter in a school, or someone getting knifed in the street instead of.
Well, when it comes to sort of, masculinity, even when I was going to school, there is still this perception that, like,
study creative writing assignment in Woking High School. That's when that's where I first created the Wereshucks and the sort of the rules and the.
You know what happens every year? He goes back to school. I mean, okay. The final year he doesn't, but you know what? I let that slide because
it's like a school playground where there's no set pecking order.
through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people.
But when I went to school, which wasn't such a long time ago because I'm 23, I'm many things, but I am a man. I almost had this attitude during school of like, I don't care what you say about me, so long as it's
ridiculous and humiliating experience at school, and my impressions of them was only made worse when I went to secondary school.
Into a game of making people upset. They, it's like when I was at school and I had anger management issues, and that's pretty much my life up until the point when I decided to basically walk out of school and never go back again.
I am afraid I cannot recall much about our formative years. Primary school passed in a blur of lessons, homework, TV programmes, comics.
Fuck up. In school when I was constantly getting bullied, and I was feeling shit as fuck. The way I did kind of go to a CV school, and fuck it, they've got the curse word.
Right, fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil.
And I've just, I did the great, I did the School of Movies binge, and then I did I've been listening to the School of Movies podcast, and the School of Movies is amazing. Alex Shaw, you had when I survived school, when I avoided the insanity of school, and I managed to avoid actually hurting anyone, and I managed to avoid hurting Cthulhu in drag to play Juliet at some all-boys school. "Oh, where are my manners? You want to play too?" said the sharp-dressed contrastant.
Honestly thought that anybody at the school deserved any kind of pain or suffering or anything. Quite good at physics. At least I was at school. Was one of the only classes I actually liked. form of temptation. And bear in mind, I was atheist in CUV school. I did my best to forget about this. So
this is something that I learned in school and stuff that, basically I was always going to be an atheist and I was always going to go to a CV school that I hated. So yeah. What is it that you like?
finally comes of age, gets a shotgun, and goes and massacres the school. Calls us to.
I still think I'm that fucking loser in Woking High School. I still think I'm the guy who tried to pick a fight because I had primary school, I had my fill, and it was like, I'm gonna go secondary school, and things are gonna be better, because there's gonna be different people.
That same kind of vibe. To get that same vibe of sitting there in the after school club watching my mate.
Who has had 2 girlfriends at school, who has just had a boyfriend, who has quite a few friends, who has had stuff like this. Because I did go to school, and I did go to college and university, and like
It kept happening because it started in school and it started in primary school, went through secondary school, and being born, speaking your first words, going to school, leaving school, recovering from the.
Although I suppose, considering where I spent my time at school, it's quite understandable that
And I would get the crap beaten out of me. While I was going to school and getting the crap beaten out of me, and then going home and getting the crap beaten out of me by him.
Duncan, maybe, whatever. The point is, like on that thing, School of Movies thing, it was just awesome people being.
Is the teacher of the restoration school, and it's just like, are you kidding me? Okay, we have, on the one hand,
Sure, I'll go to medical school. I like that. I'll be the doctor for you. And that's kind of their sort of screwed up.
young, weird people to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people. I'm not afraid of. Why didn't they just go back to school? I mean, since I was a fucking kid in primary school, I have been asking myself one question over and over and over. I was the atheist in the CUV school. I can kind of understand why in primary school I was picked on so much, because I was the guy I hate as a fanboy.
Hell does entirely come from the fact that I went to a Church of England Christian school. So I am actually quite familiar with Christianity. So, again, this is shit I did in school, I had a bully book, and it would be, your name shall also go on this. He thinks he's going to this really special school, but actually everybody goes to a fucking magical school because, the wizards won. To this yesterday, I was listening to the School of Movies take on Revenge of the Sith, and this whole business was more scared of that fucking school than I am of any kind of shit you want to throw at me. This is the point where I've been listening to School of Movies. Sort of re-listening to them. Because this was after school. This was after years of bullying, years of being bullied.
Writes fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil.
You will basically be a better person. If university is when life changes, secondary school is when people change. It is
Of But I had listened to School of Movies review the first 7 Fast and the Furious films, right? I wasn't thinking I'll get a job. I was thinking I just wanted to get out of school. And then I just decided I wanted to build a School of Movies review of Pacific Rim. Because the School of Movies review of Pacific Rim is like, this is why...
Carried around a towel when he was in school. Because he was thinking, yes, towel, foo, and yeah.
In primary school, I was part of the choir. I was forced to be. This, by the way, is why basically I am an fucking sing choir in fucking primary school. Fuck you, fucking Christians. Damn it, that was my childhood.
And they're like, okay, what jobs are needed? Okay, we're going to send you to this school, we're going to send you to this place, and we're going to say, okay, on childcare front, more nursery places, childcare for school, emergency childcare, keep a register of childcare providers. Enjoyed having my hair cut professionally for the first time since, like primary or secondary school, like a fucking long time. Like things were getting so bad that the school was even like recognizing, yeah, you've been through shit. So you know what?
Fights just happened on the playground, right? And I genuinely remember my last day of primary school. I was just like smacking.
Space parasites created God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight. Unless you happen to be an old school fan and you're just like, but why can't I optimize? But what?
My Facebook until somebody, one of my friends from secondary school, finally got goddamn sick of this and said, God, for God. The 3 things you come away from school, everybody is like, the seasons, how to
tell God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people.
History books. But that's a lie. I've never read. Well, I did read history books, but that was in school, and school was a bad time. But when I
mean our fucking flawed system of education that we have at the moment. See, boy in the bands don't stay in school. I believe that Britain. Something the little kid from Woking High School in me is sort of going at.
The big shit that goes down. So I missed what happened with Gamers Game. And I listened to sort of School of Movies. Actually, no, hang on. I've recently been listening to the School of Movies reviews. So we begin when I was in school. When I was in Woking High School, right? And the thing about, instead of just saying, oh, that's a school and there's a terrorist there, no more school.
Insulted, threatened. I have every day on the route to school I would be, bullied and insulted.
It's kind of, where it comes kind of relevant to Patreon is that there are like school kids sort of thing, 15-year-olds who are like, well, this is going to be me just talking about why I love this podcast. And this podcast is School of Movies.
Incident and, oh, well, it just happened to this one person, or at this one school. This seems to be
kind of, fanficky kind of stuff. And admittedly, there is like a whole school of academia and psychology that is like, yeah.
I have literally gone through a school where I don't know how much of this was paranoia, but basically it certainly felt like
not actually fundamentally about, yes, the precise order of events and the school and the blah, the blah, the flirt, it's doing.
I'm loving the School of Movies podcast. I'm loving the Dissecting Worlds podcast.
I genuinely do. I've got that now. And it was listening to the School of Movies podcast on Pacific Rim that kind of made other episodes of the School of Movies podcasts. And he's got a cracking voice. Which again, I believe School of Movies said is their favourite Doctor Who, is the one that they might like to talk about. Children who have ran away to join ISIS, right? There have been school children who have run away to join ISIS. Women and men have joined.
Like, if Dissecting Worlds or School of Movies or whatever were to invite me on,
I chose who I wanted to be, because the thing is, at school, I didn't really know who I was. Alone, a couple alone in school, there's something going bump in the night. One of them's a vampire, but this time, go. Towards the end of school, for my GCSEs, I wrote a essay arguing that the shark in Jaws is actually back then, because I was going through some shit, and I'd been to a C of E school, and I'd actually
even smart enough to explain the ways in which, like, School of Movies went so far in depth with this thing, and then you watch Pacific
to not like sports, because I was, the fatty weird guy at school who was gosh darn lucky to
like the Weresharks, because the Weresharks I had actually created for a bloody school assignment, a bloody creative writing assignment,
and then there are some School of Movies episodes that are just geeky.
I don't care what bribes you try and make. I am not going back in school. I am more scared of that fucking school than I am of any kind of shit.
One of my favourite podcasts, School of Movies, actually quite a bit more.
Your father is a man who is making you terrified and in tears, And then you go to school, and I go to school, and
yeah. I may be the lowest of the low. I may be the guy who had to quit school early because I was bullied too much, but I could change.
Oh yeah, they're all horrible monsters. And actually, School of Movies are very, very fair, and they're very balanced, and they do a lot of research, and this is why they can give is my subjective perspective on the School of Movies podcasts. I can't go through podcast by podcast.
Yeah, school was bad. And, what happened with school was, obviously school was my formative years. Weekend, I went back to hang out with my mates, and now this guy who I once failed to beat up in school turns up with 9 created God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people. What the fuck is up with my hair? Basically, in secondary school, there was an outbreak of nits, and
he's a fucked up guy. And I mean, okay, listening to School of Movies might have coloured me in this respect, but I do.
Yeah. I met his dad once after school. His parents usually never bothered to pick him up in person or go to sports.
Pretty much everyone else who's been involved with School of Movies, and that includes one of the people that the fanfic was about, which sort of.
Right, fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil. I am doing everything, trying everything, I am going to school councils, I am sending off letters to the fucking Prime Minister, to Tony Blair and Gordon.
And this one guy, so you get rid of the guy, and you get rid of the school and that house.
It's kind of kept happening because it started in school and it went through.
Free school meals, technology colleges.
The Nintendo 64 because I had been at this after school club and I had seen all of my friends and stuff playing.
Was running up to the priest or whoever it was, actually baptizing our school, for me to realise he was not wearing the school uniform. He had for a minute and never spoke of the conversation again. The last month of school seemed to pass as quickly as a summer breeze, and my mind kept turning to.
So I was a kid, I was in school, so I was like, balls to it, literally. Because I'd been Pathfinder campaign, that goes off the rails for the same reason that school went off the rails. I went fucking paranoid. Death threats as per usual on the screen. There was something kind of primally schoolyard about what was going on.
In school, things were personally a lot worse for me. Personally, horrific. I do remember I ended the first day, my last day of primary school ended with me smacking my.
Right, fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight. Equally, that there is a massive argument going on about just how valid this shit is, about whether this is doing
The guy who plays him, right, was in school, was in Human Nature, the Doctor Who story, and in there
getting that sorted. I am an atheist. I went to a C of E school. I do happen to, live in Woking, the home of the first of an atheist in a C of E school to begin with. But pretty much from that moment on, I was defined as the other.
But really, secondary school is basically about the playground and about the pecking order and about, in the sort of, Lord of the Flies-esque nature of the school playground, right? There is an attitude that women, well, it's the result of having listened to School of Movies talk about, superheroes whilst I play Skyrim. School went bad. School went really bad. School went really quite atrociously bad. Basically, I lost my mind.
And what do you have against cool people? Asked Laura. School, said the Farshnik. You try being an all-powerful deity trapped inside the body of a nerd. In some of the sentences you can get for murder. I think at school, one of the things I heard was that, the average sentence for
Script editor to help with a proper old school Doctor Who kind of script editor, and that as an atheist person who went to a C of E school, there is a part of me that needs something to believe in, that needs, a canon. It's just like, no, if you're gonna be an arsehole, be an arsehole. It's, in the school playground, it's because it's this school, it's this book about this guy, about this boy in school who just wakes up one day and everyone. I think it's an idea that makes sense in school because it's a very juvenile way to look at the world. I remember sort of just before I was about to leave primary school, I was still being bullied by people in reception, which is like But by the time, I got to secondary school, it's just a thing. It's just a multicultural mixing pot, and to a certain...
I got bullied a lot as a kid, and I would come home from school and I would boot up the N64 and stick in GoldenEye, and I would play the third
experience bullying to the point of having a nervous breakdown and having to drop out of school. I know how to deal with bullies, right? I recommend that you listen to the School of Movies podcast on Pacific Rim. It's actually the last...
And, well, cut a long story short, quit school, got into college, got bored, got to youth club.
Gordon Brown saying, "I'm being bullied in school and it's really fucking horrible. Can you change the law so that I can leave?" I could just walk over that to my death, then scold themselves and move on. A depressed person will stroke their chin and go, "Yeah, I'll have..." I've been to university now. I am not the fucking doormat who got beat on by everybody in school. I didn't. But I'm not on the school playground anymore. I shouldn't be reacting to
And some people, focus on fighting because, school, a lot of fights happen. I focus...
And now we've got Daleks in fucking Coal Hill School in London in 1963. This wasn't so... and the BBC is the most blatant form of propagandist bullshit at the moment. Well, it was a charming school, and it was a school where where people would go on packy hunts. Cunt as an insult. I wrote a fucking essay when I was in school about why I thought cunt worked as an insult. But cool about this, in the sense that, I have had like people in school, boys in school, was running late at night on Channel 5, and he had to be up early the next day because school is bitch. Women don't fight, Men will fight in school. I mean, I've been in many a fucking scrum. And the thing is the crazy thing is, if you want to go mad school with this, like the whole, shark, and it's more believable than, I mean, I went to a C of E school, so, the Christian archetype is very much... If I'm going to sort of give you the elevator pitch of what School of Movies is, what this whole grand thing is, it's that
not to learn any kind of self-defense at school because I had anger management issues at school and I didn't want to risk hurting anyone.
We were all forced to listen to read through his stuff in school, and basically scripts are the worst thing to read. Indeed, for a large part of my school, I basically survived because my best mate was a guy.
Laugh, I mean, heck, there's one from primary school I can tell. One time in primary school, I was just, sitting around,
Whilst Jeremy Corbyn is just playing a good old school campaign of saying, like, these are our policies, they're fully costed.
The thing is that I grew up in a C of E school, okay? I mean, it was kind of weird in that it became C of E while I was there, and I kind of, some people, when they're in school, focus on doing well in sports and, getting the medals and being an Olympian. Throughout my time at school, throughout the bullying and the hatred, are you Alex Jahans or are you Gordon Jones? The reason for that is that at school, I got very badly handle themselves. And if you're like Jamie, my mate from school, and can just sort of say, Come on then. Means is that you can't do volunteering, you can't do an internship, you can't do school classes or, university classes.
Fucking Total Biscuit has just given me fucking gospel and verse on every fucking way to school, these bastards, and, no word of
Scrams. Yeah, we're just gonna have a scram, yeah. It was just sort of what you did, right? The school playground is essentially where you go to...
I know this because my girlfriend in secondary school would kick me in the balls before kicking me. But before bullying happens, so leaving school happens, so college happens, and university happens, and then
Basic hygiene. In year 3 of secondary school, or year 9 if you want to talk about official school years, the fashioning.
but it's also just generally like I spent my time at school, learning.
My childhood was watching a load of different series every night, and it was at school covering a load of different subjects.
because as far as I was concerned, they were just the wardens that kept me in school being bullied, right? That doesn't, my
Amazingly smart kid who says, I know, I'm gonna do a school shooting. Well, I don't have to do anyone. I don't have to right beneath my fly. So yeah, it was in primary school, but that still got kind of looks of what the fuck, man. It should be noticed here that the shark targets. Back in school GCSEs, I wrote an essay. The bullies only saw the sharks. The idiots at school only saw the sharks. They
your message across. You can be in school with a fucking you can be still at school. You can have a cheap shit
of likes the stress and the pressure and the pain because of the shit from school. Like I adapted to it.
Baptizing our school for me to realise he was not wearing the school uniform. He had evidently taken the opportunity the gown gave him to
sort of thing. In that it's the kids defending the school with machine guns. So, during the period when my teachers at school were kind of alive, Russia was pointing nukes at everyone and threatening to blow up the I left school. I started hanging around the local park. And I thought I had
of Digital Cowboys, Digital Gonzo, Digital Drift, and now School of Movies and indeed School of Everything Else. Alex Shaw.
young weird people to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people. It doesn't matter, and very much from book 3 onwards, it ceases to be, hey, we're at school doing awesomeness, and becomes
in the sense that whilst I went to school and college and university, I obviously saw that women were equal.
And fuck, are you doing a Doctor Who spin-off set in the school?
The shit that I fucking went through at school. I do struggle in a stressful situation. Right? Different podcasts that kind of are all part of the School of Movies, I suppose, canon.
first words, going to school, leaving school, recovering from the psychological problems you gained in school, going to college, going to There is a part of my mind that's still at Woking High School going, the fuck, man, what the flying fuck, this isn't right. And when we had email, as we were starting to get school email, it was on an index. You can find people.
That's before in the last video that I did, that kind of in school it got so bad that, you know, my migraines were a constant, like,
On about whether it was after or out of school, so I just used both and hang the sense of it. My parents dumped me there because they were going through
and even enjoyed her time at school, college and university, and even landed a good job, and yet, despite everything going,
It's like a localized nuke or something. I mean, it levels the school. It, you know, the school grounds.
you know, showdown or sort of thing of like a school of great whites and a pod of orcas, and you know,
and it was important for me. Don't get me wrong. High school was, well, obviously I was an outcast because I was an outspoken atheist.
I love School of Movies, and they also had the two semi-recurring people on School of Movies who are male people.
Space parasites created God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight. How they're gonna stop providing free school meals for the poor. They don't give a shit about anyone in Britain. They don't give a stuff like that, or even chasing you down the street on the way to school on the school bus. Yeah, all those things are entirely actual. Okay, I'd made a group of friends, and then one Friday, some dickheads from school started turning up. One guy in particular, I remember, and kind of hated the government and was being rebellious because of the school and stuff. So amazingly, she went out with me. Amazingly, she did. But then, considering Woking High School is, well, or at least was, really good at my grades in the hope that my parents and the school teachers would be kind to me and let me not go to school anymore.
Because to a certain extent, right, there is a part of me that, you know, was raised in a C of E school, so the, you know, the idea of
10 years and that, you know, you had in primary school and secondary school, that's a fucking long time. And if you're getting beaten up the entire fucking time, that does
just slide your finger up the keyboard and then down it. And like, in primary school, I was part of the choir. No, I should back up a little here. So, school went bad. School went really bad.
completely just take off one of my friends from school who is who I still keep in contact with and is very cool and to keep, you know. In school there was a strict hierarchy, and it went students laughing stock in front of the whole school, and that was basically it. That was the moment it became unbearable.
Stereotyping myself here because obviously, you know, I went to school. I go to conventions. I know women. I still think that podcasts like the School of Movies are fucking amazing, and I still follow left wing.
Where you kind of watch it going, okay, so he's in school and then he gets bit by a spider. Oh no, now he's out of school through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people.
Show, right? And I expected, right, like, you know, School of Movies are very left wing, very feminist, very, you know, like,
See things now. Again, I realise this is stuff that you learn in secondary school, and it's not. Umbridge, she's the villain, you know. She's the villain that you have to deal with every day you go to school, every day you go back.
you know, like, I had a counsellor in school. She pissed me off because I would be like, hey, I keep telling you this shit day in, day out, nothing is
I wouldn't have, because of my strict fucking moral code imbued in me by fucking school, but I merely became a men's rights activist with less than the sentence for being a school kid in a shit school where you got bullied.
This amazing podcast called School of Movies, which I'm listening to the iTunes back catalogue, and this is why I like it, yes. Because basically, I stumbled upon School of Movies, like I stumbled upon so many great things in my life. The woman who is like, yes, we shall have a story all about school and not actually flesh out what the fuck they're supposed to do once they graduate.
Right, fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil.
You know, I happened to stumble upon the School of Movies podcast because I had just
It's been a year since I've left school. This shouldn't be happening. And
place, you know, I had finished school. I'd basically given up hope of having any kind of a social life because I tried to do. And funnily enough, my one of my friends from school asked in one of the comments, how do you deal with all of the horrible comments that you deal with?
Barbie dolls, and, you know, and like carrying a dead rat to school, you know, finding dead hedgehogs about the place. Well, it was called Woking High School, but it was a secondary school, and so, you know, it's going to be tough, and I need to be as tough as I was back in school. I need to be the kid who can survive the
So, basically, all he did at school was learn about science and computers. So that is all he learns about. That is all he... There was that time in primary school when I basically kept a dead rat in my pocket and took him to school as a pet because... fucking hate America. So anyway, masculinity, right? I went to a school that was not nice, and in this
went into class, and this wasn't just because my school was that bad. This was a genuine, like, you are going
civilian. Oh, you know, oh, this is a school. Let's not, you know, go in there and kill people, or at least if I spent my whole life growing with, because certainly in school I was very aware of the statistics of how many people who got.
And if you're a kid in school having fantasies about this, I understand. But came back after I had left school, like a year later, came back with like 9 of his mates on bicycles, and they were,
You know, the shark being represented by a point of view and a music score and sort of, you know, cuts from the sides and the shadows and stuff was because
morality plus insecurities from school equals me a total fucking arsehole. Add to that the
he is, and all you are, is a bunch of fucking school kids who didn't grow the fuck up, right? And the thing is that so am I. Schools, because I was a kid in school, and frankly, children in school are evil, despicable things.
it levels the school. It, you know, the school grounds are turned to glass, and because that's how, you know,
Cook from my Woking High School, right? He threw my bloody book off the roof. It's a difference between how I felt at school and how I felt the last 2 years. So it's the difference. I wrote a letter bitching to Tony Blair saying, "Hey, I don't want to go to school because I'm getting bullied. Please, can you let me get out of it?" When I was in Woking High School, right, man. And the thing about Woking High School is I had already been through. I'd already just call it a discussion of. I can't just call call it the School of Movies take on Mass Effect 3 because there is such.
Then, when shit at school got really fucking bad, it was a means of expression, and
I love School of Movies. School of Movies is an amazing, amazing podcast.
What scared me, though, what truly chilled me to the bone, was when I surveyed the school ground and saw this group of boys.
was that like the average sentence for murder was like 10 years, and that, you know, you had it in primary school and secondary school, that's a fucking long time. And if you're getting 2 pages explaining my situation, saying, "Dear Tony Blair, please can you let me leave school where I am being bullied, it is horrible. Like, I just want to get my fucking hair cut, right?" You know, in school, there was none of this hair washing. There was just, it started in primary school, went through secondary school, and finally, like, even in university, one of the Columbine, which is what they expected me to do. Like, literally, I turned up to school one day and they were like, "Hey, we're here."
I learned about the Battle of Hastings and like Guy Fawkes in actually school. That was a nice thing to sort of have context for from there.
I literally just have a school level understanding of like infections and, you know, created God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people. Writes fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil.
Kid to make some fucking compost. There was that time in primary school when I basically kept a dead rat.
And the stability of society, like, I've written article after article saying no to revolution.
The founding, you know, one of these facts of way back in school, one of these just principal facts that can never
sort of media enterprise thing, and then that became Digital Drift and now School of Movies. So there are like 4 different.
And yeah, I went mad, and I left school eventually. Just walked out and said, "No fucking way you getting again." You know, and bear in mind this was, you know, me at school, so I kind of can look. That's one of the few episodes that I can look back.
Spitting not fun time, school. Not fun time.
Not the most popular kid in school. And so
right-wing podcast hosted by people who remind me of every arsehole who bullied me in school had offered to. My school, ladies and gentlemen, Woking High School, fucking arseholes. Fucking arseholes. Handled.
the reason I'm here is because of Dart, because of Yes Man. Because after I left school, and after I had had my fun prior to what I'm about to say, and so then I left school early because of bad stuff, and I had a very bad period because it, you know, sort of like, "Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people." Do the one thing I was begging her to do, which was get me out of school. So kind of the traditional definition. Writes fan-fucking-tastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil.
Being so utterly nihilistic was because I was listening to School of Movies and their review of the Dark.
That's fucking weird. You know, and in primary school, I farted. And because I can't smell, you do reception, then you do primary school, then you do secondary school, then you do college, then you maybe do a gap year, and then you do university. But because after school, I swore never to step foot in any educational institution again. I hate.
When you go into secondary school, that's when people are going through puberty. Which means that if you're a first year,
Fun, because I'm not gonna be the only atheist in a serious school anymore. I'm gonna have every chance and opportunity. And
I remember I got kicked out of religious studies in school because I wrote, actually, in the end, none of this matters because God is a load of.
happens when you're taught something at school, in the sense that it becomes ancient history.
What worked in school was basically like, if you describe what I am, I'm not going to get annoyed because
that I thought was cute, I'd carry it around with me. So I went to school around primary school with a dead rat in my pocket. I mean, I've been listening to a School of Movies podcast at the moment, listening through their back catalogue. All with Muslims. I mean, obviously, I didn't in primary school because it was a Church of England primary school, and to be honest, and my, pretty much everybody in school insulted me and would rip the piss into me for fun.
And probably some inbred instinct that school is evil. What scared me, though, what truly chilled me to the bone, was when I surveyed.
But, in my school, people would go on Paki hunts. Hunting Pakistani people. That was what happened.
fuck you guys. All your religion, go fuck yourselves. Yeah, school was bad. And,
Listening, I listened to School of Movies review the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Harry Potter film.
Nuke found out all students had to sing in the choir as part of the official school baptizing ceremony, and that A, he wasn't exempt, and B, he would have
about science and how diseases spread. Okay, at least I know a school level understanding of science and how.
Like, when you're going to school every day and you're getting bullied, I suppose, like, School of Movies are sort of like, they're J.K. Rowling, or
I gave him lip. It's YouTube comments saying, "Oh, kill yourself." It's school children when I was at school, bored like you were after you finished school, and you're gonna have basically no plan because you're in Galapagos. These school kids are on a tour, and they're telling ghost stories. And this one kid, I had, in the sense that I had tried them at school, said no, and then had them forced down my throat anyway.
I remember the first time I watched the Farscape miniseries. It was late at night when I had school the next day, and I didn't give a shit. In primary school, because it was a Church of England primary school, and to be honest, that was the kind of school where you kind of found just survive this, you can just survive that, you can just survive this, school, college, university, it's always.
The conversation was how stupid, insane, unfair, and ridiculous it was for his school to get baptized. Now, do not get cute and start thinking I began to play devil.
But I do listen to the School of Movies podcast, and one of the things they talk about there is this idea of millennial.
Because of the bullying that I had received in school, that it essentially was so bad that I had to walk out of school, and I had like a nervous, because kind of from like back in school, everybody knew how to insult me. So I had the entire school where, you know, if you're gonna say, well, fine, if you don't want to go to school, then we'll fucking kill you. I don't care. Okay, I was bullied. I was really badly bullied. School was not fun, okay? It was dark. So he's in school and then he gets bit by a spider. Oh no, now he's out of school and he's got a job, and back in secondary school, when I was still sort of enjoying it, I wrote a little like short story.
Listen to one of the old podcasts. Listen to Dissecting Worlds. Listen to School of Movies. Just do something to get your.
Added to that is the fact that I am a virgin, and the fact that, you know, I had 2 girlfriends at school, and neither of them
bullies, but I did skip out of the last year of school because of bullshit. And so did fucking Captain Kirk. Why? Fantastic novels. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people.
still kind of stuck in the aftermath or whatever of school. So yeah, just I think
I do understand that, and I think if I hadn't had my experience of school that I had of just feeling so complete.
You know, it's not like, you know, the biggest loser in school manages to, you know, shame the prom king or whatever, and suddenly
let off. In our final year at primary school, there was a trip to the Isle of Wight. It was like the Hindley Warren.
My impressions of them was only made worse when, you know, I went to secondary school and all hell broke loose. I mean,
a leading cause of my fucking paranoia in school, and indeed my fucking best friend in school ended up fucking pulling down my trousers in the middle of PE.
assaulted or would have a right to be anyway by the fact that when I was at school, being called gay was the big insult.
out of work, the out of work people who didn't go to school, who didn't go to university, all of the work that
Kind of when I had my first sort of phase of depression and suicide at school, I had a year out, and that was
is unwritten, right? Nobody, when you're in school, hands your book and says, "All right, class, today we're gonna be learning."
a prime minister, because you go to the right school, you go to the right university, you study the right things, you meet the right.
So much about this sort of podcast of School of Movies is that I can't just call it a review. I can't just call it a discussion. I am smarter than you because I went to the right school. I want to punch his face in.
People who have spent decades of their lives working. You know, I went to school, I went to college, I went to university, and then I failed to get a job.
I had just become so dispossessed with the school and everything, and I was just like, I don't fucking care, I'm gonna sleep in class. I don't.
Third, we've got Chugga Conroy, we've got Etho, we've got Zisto, and we have got the one, the only School of Movies podcast. And indeed, a lot of stuff, because I actually fucking paid attention at school. Well, I paid attention in the ones I gave a shit about.
That's the kind of crap I was told when I was being bullied at school to comfort me. You know, when I would buy these games,
To sort of School of Movies they take on the sort of the whole Gamersgate.
Burns, sick burns, jokes against my expense. Because of school, I know where that leads. Okay.
I think the one big anecdote either of us have about primary school was what happened in year 4. Our school was, for want of a better word,
And I didn't go down that path because essentially at school we had a shit maths teacher who was just, in my mind, that was it. I'd left school, fuck it. And
Created God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil weird people.
And this was basically, I think, around the time I'd finished school, and I was still sort of feeling the.
He starts showing around his house to school kids and stuff, and to college kids and stuff, saying, I am someone who genuinely left school a bittered husk of a person, and then I decided to build a Dalek, and it was from pushing out, so it's not that, but obviously we're in high school. It was called Woking High School, but it was a second. Space parasites created God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight evil. Women have their own internal structure, at least in school.
Asks, hey Alex, you said in a previous video that you played football in school and that you were on the rugby team. What position were you in the rugby?
It's the 1st of January 2016, and I'm just listening to School of Movies interviews turning up. One guy in particular I remember that I tried to have a fight with in the school toilets. That night ended with
the shit that I fucking went through at school. I do struggle in stressful situations, right? Afford to make my living off trolls' hatred of me, because it's like at school there were boys who would just be like,
not after the amount of money we've paid for you, and so I finished as much of school as I could. I got through
the Edinburgh Business School, Heriot Watt University. We associate that with how that group of people always acts. I mean, in school, I was prejudiced against teachers. Because as far as, and she probably assumes I'm already dead. Because, yeah, Woking High School was shit. But, it's not good. School. It was very fucking difficult as a kid to just leave school, but I knew it was possible, and I knew that eventually. But what really got me was that I've been listening to the School of Movies podcast, and the School of Movies school, I knew the answer. I knew that I could just leave school. It was very fucking difficult as a kid to just
fucking. Well, I don't know what I was in Woking High School, but Lord knows.
School, year 9 if you want to talk about official school years, the Farshnik's mind was blown. First there was the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Doctor Who was on whilst, I was at school, 2005, whatever. So, there was the 9th Doctor and the 10th Doctor. Brain, remember! Not the Idiot's Lantern, not School Reunion, it's The Girl in the Fireplace, that's it, yeah. The Girl in the Fireplace.
School, really, secondary school is not about learning, right? It really isn't. I learned a lot of stuff. But
I mean, for starters, the fact that it's stuck around in high school, that means that it feels, hey, I'm an autistic person at school who gets bullied all the time, so I hide away from people wherever I can.
Become violent, and this is fucking school. Back when you're still kind of an idiot. Certainly when I was still kind of.
I had that when I left school. I left school and I was like, yes, fantastic, I am free!
Properly, because, I was a kid at school, and then I went to college, and then I went to university, and
everybody knew how to insult me. So I had the entire school just every second of every day, every time someone passed me, they would insult me. Or
like in Woking High School, there were Becky Hansen, and in university, I nearly
others off. It worked too. For the rest of primary school, no one was violent against me. The Farshnik was not so lucky, but
when you've got to be looking at that, hey, this guy here and this guy here, and it's. School of Movies did and slowly getting things done and finished off in Skyrim, and I've just listened to School of Movies take on the.
I remember sending a fucking letter to Tony Blair saying, "How dare you keep me in school? I'm getting bullied."
Of course, badly or poorly, and how them as different things, and I love the School of Movies podcast with its quite extensive back catalogue. I love
creepy kid. I know worse. I'm at school getting bullied by shitloads of people, and you want me to get creeped out by a little kid on my Nintendo 64 at the after school club, and saying I want a Nintendo, and my parents freaking out because, oh my god, he wants a Game Boy console, and I asked the fucking MP to let me stop going to school so I wouldn't have to be bullied.
Basically taught myself a lot about science, right? My teachers were shit. My teachers were absolute shit at school. Especially
by people at this school, a school that Nick Clegg went to, and his journey of trying to get justice.
Coal Hill School is just a fucking school.
Really blame them for the fact that these kids in school, they're like, fucking lessons are boring, they're confusing, I'm just not tamer than the shit I faced at school. And it took me a fucking decade. So if you guys want to hang around carefully, parents and the school teachers would be kind to me and let me not go to school anymore. I was an idiot. But it's kind of about 4 or 5 years ago, kind of on my year out after leaving school, these 10 guys on bikers bundled on out of a very, very bad funk after leaving school under quite difficult circumstances. So, it is in the slightest. I thought the Bible was a load of tosh, and I was in a CV school. I mean, I literally had to sort of.
Yeah, if aliens are fucking invading your school and killing off people, what the fuck are you gonna do if you're a fucking kid?
I'd already been bullied in primary school, right? Primary school, I had my fill, and it was like, I'm gonna go secondary school.
They found out. They found out. And when you have heard an entire school, seemingly, tell you, dying me with a bloody hamster. Yes, because I'm going to march back into the school that sent me fucking insane because you buy me a resulted in 10 idiots from the school bundling on top of me and threatening to rape me if I call the police.
I mean, the fact that when I was at school, the police literally, turned up one day and the headmistress, and then obviously like the latter ones are, you know, School of Movies. So it's
Suddenly become the most normal male school leaver on the planet. What he said next knocked that theory to the ground.
you know, schools and workplaces. You know, schools when I was at school. You know, universities when I was at university. Like, and just shops and school. Shops, school, and government. That's all J.K. Rowling thinks there is, and I still give a fuck about who I am, right? Many a true nerd exists. School of Movies exists. Django Conroy, Etho, Zisto.
On YouTube, it's something of a joke in the school playground. It's just like, oh, I hate you, go die in the fire. Oh, go kill yourself.
Yes, I mean, there was that time I brought a dead rat to school, but we're not going to talk about that. Is when it's fucking Christian mythology, because I'm like, no, I had that fucking school, fuck that. But these fuckers, haircut. I have not had a proper haircut since fucking primary school. Seriously. And it was cheap enough. Make sure you do maths GCSE again at college because you fucked it up at school, right? Especially if it's at a workplace or a fucking or a school or a or a public restroom. You fucking go in there, go to the cubicle.
It's school children when I was at school kind of insulting me, and it's. And
I thought it was gonna be tough, but in a way I almost like during school I don't think I ever properly had of hurting these people, and bearing in mind, right, at school, it was a persistent.
The mantle of Alex Jahans, the boy who walked out of school and said, I will never go to college or university because
fucking weirdo means you're gonna get your ass handed to you at school. And I got my ass handed to me a lot at school. And in the eyes as you tear their guts out. Now you see, I was a pacifist in school. And partly I was a pacifist because smacking my worst enemy's head at that school, just smacking his head against the concrete over and over again, screaming.
Keeper Wars, the miniseries, when 5 did them all like back to back, and I had school the next day, and it started airing.
Like the fact that there are people who are getting things and you're not. I get it. You're school kids and you haven't grown up. That's fine.
Ever since I left school, I have defined my life around choice. I can choose to do things, choose not to do. What happened with school was, obviously school was my formative years, and my formative years were spent trying to survive. People who want, because I have been there, and this happened later, after I left school. After I walked out one day and just was like, fuck that, I'm not, was the year I was finally coming out of madness. Because, yeah, shit got dark at school. Shit got really fucking dark. And
honestly, God, wouldn't it be a nightmare if you woke up in the wrong gender? Because it's this school, it's this book about this guy. I mean, obviously that was the name I was born with, but it's the name that I had when I survived school, when I avoided the insanity. And then you go to school, and I go to school, and it's just pain and humiliation and embarrassment, and to the School of Movies people discuss Terminator Salvation, and sort of their idea, a school that was not nice, and in this school, this actually was a school that genuinely, but at the same time,
because it was taught in school, because it was taught in primary school, Hitler, Germans created the wereshots whilst I was in school. So therefore, that's even longer. But
yes, I totally don't have any issues left over from school. Totally don't. It's not like I'm going to see a counsellor about that or anything. Well, not specifically or away and not remember school because it was not a good time. So yeah, I can't tell you. And that's pretty much why when I went to secondary school I was like, I am a pacifist now. I've renounced my aggressive ways. Although the mosque in Britain was built in my hometown of Woking. So I went to school with Muslims. I mean, obviously, if Alex Shaw of the School of Movies podcast were to, in some hypothetical parallel.
On your left you will see the abandoned school, thick with the fog of regret and embarrassment. Monsters roam the deserted corridor.
About Christmas. This is about the fact that I just listened to School of Movies rip the almighty piss into Terminator Rise of the Machines.
I was redefining myself because I had left school, I had gotten over my hump, and I was like, I'm gonna